Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Cloud Lunch and Learn session. Very excited today for Juarez Jr. to provide a rundown on Oracle database services on Microsoft Azure. Oracle, a very strong line of business application software that can do multiple things with a enterprise business, and the foundation of that is definitely their databases. So I'm not going to get too deep into that. I will let Juarez take care of that. So Juarez, take it away.
Thank you very much, Dwayne. And by the way, that's a great introduction. Good job.
Thanks.
Okay, so thank you very much again. Hi, everyone. My name is Juarez Barbosa Jr. I work for Oracle as a Senior Principal Java Developer Evangelist here in Ireland. And today we are going to explore a new service called ODSA, the Oracle Database Service for Microsoft Azure. So without further ado, let's get started. For those of you who don't know me, I have 27 years of experience in IT in different roles concerning software engineering, developer relations. Out of that, 11 years in DevRel and developer communities. For companies like Microsoft, Oracle, IBM, and a few other ones. Before rejoining Oracle recently, I used to work for Microsoft in Ireland as the developer relations lead, and with strong collaboration with the communities in Ireland and also Western Europe. Currently, I focus on Java, which is my primary language. I'm a Java developer for 26 years now, but also, of course, cloud, DevOps, cloud native, and a bit of blockchain as well. Okay, so today we want to explore the opportunities that are available for developers concerning the integration between Microsoft Azure and the Oracle Cloud, which is called OCI, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. And with a focus on data-related applications, and different flavors of the Oracle database that we have. As you can see here, we have what we call the base database service, which is a kind of more controlled, or perhaps we can call it single instance database service for developers. We have Exadata, which has features concerning clustering, rack, real application clusters, and many other enterprise features. And the Autonomous database, which is pretty much the same database, but autonomous because it has in background several AI related services and jobs and that run in background to optimize, fine-tune, and patch your database. But as the baseline for that, we have the OCI, the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. And the integration concerning both clouds, now depending on your customers' requirements, you can, of course, keep the database running in an Oracle environment, OCI, on top of the Oracle Cloud, but then connect to it from Azure, and we have a number of services, as you can see here. For example, things like, the Power Platform with Power BI, Power Apps, Power Automate, Synapse Analytics for DW applications, AKS for cloud native and Kubernetes services, app services for web applications, and you name them, Databricks for big data and so on. And that's interesting because this partnership started a while ago with what we call the OCI Azure Interconnect feature. At the end of the day, we have several collocated regions and 12 interconnect regions, so the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure and Azure data centers, they are integrated and collocated. But we interconnect, actually, you still have to address some things related to the non-functional requirements like security, monitoring, network paths and integration, and network topologies and so on. That's doable, of course, but with the ODSA offering, now all this complexity and the non-functional requirements, they are now encapsulated and abstracted. And that's a good option as perhaps another tool under your belt, because, I don't know, maybe you have a customer, they have some systems that are running on-prem and they want to migrate to the cloud, but they don't have an internal, IT department. So you are helping them, and, provided that they can see that as something that it would be better for them because of less complexity and the requirements in terms of operations and governance, you can use ODSA, because you can migrate them from on-prem to the cloud, and we are talking about multi-cloud, so integration between the two clouds here. And some people, sometimes they think that multi-cloud and the hybrid cloud is the same thing, but usually when depending on the literature and the concepts and the terms, of course, and how people see those things, but usually hybrid cloud is when we are talking about on-prem systems and the cloud, and multi-cloud we are talking about this integration among different cloud environments and vendors. But that's it, just to give you a glimpse of the regions then and how it is started and the options here. But let's talk a little bit about the advantages of using interconnect, for example, in terms of cost savings. You have things, for example, latency. At the end of the day, if you have better performance, you are having, I would say, some cost reductions here. You are saving money. In terms of implementation time, which is a good thing. Performance, with the number of CPUs for autonomous database, and of course this integration, as the data centers they are collocated, you can expect, of course, a better communication paths, and it results in performance improvements as well. Uptime, in terms of these integration, redundancy, high availability, latency, and so on. But let's talk now about the focus of my talk today, the ODSA service, which was announced last year by Satya Nadella and Larry Ellison during the Microsoft Ignite event. That's another iteration concerning then this OCI Azure Interconnect feature. But as I said now, the interesting thing is that with the ODSA, you have graphical user interface, GUI, that resembles Azure. So the Azure developers, they can access that and provision Oracle databases, having a similar, look and feel and user experience as if you are using the Azure Portal. It's quite easy to do. For example, you just have to perform some initial steps in terms of informing the Azure subscription you want to use with OCI. Those are quite straightforward steps. And then after that, you can move to provision the autonomous database or any other database that you might need. And then, of course, deploy your Azure applications and connect to that. Another interesting thing beyond, the things that I talked about, security, networking, identity federation, and so on, is the feature related to monitoring, because with this integration, the Oracle database will propagate some events, so you can capture that on the Azure side, and also have all the metrics, controlled and visible under the Azure Monitor umbrella, with things like App Insights, Log Analytics, and so on. Okay, so this is a high-level diagram and overview of this integration. As you can see, at the bottom of it, we have OCI Azure Interconnect, as I talked about, with a private tunnel. So we are talking about VPN connections between Azure Express Route and OCI Fast Connect. And on the right-hand side, we have the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure with, the usual OCI tenancies, which is a kind of, it is similar to resource groups in Azure to an extent. and the different databases here. And then on the left-hand side, you'll see the different services and, in terms of the monitoring events, metrics that I talked about, other events as well, and the applications. So we have a kind of natural path for this integration without all the complexity and the governance requirements. And, so that's why I said that's another way, or perhaps another tool that you might consider in order to accelerate migration projects, in the scope of IT transformation and modernization projects. At the top of it, you can see Azure Active Directory and OCI identity domains with identity federation. And the user can use the Oracle, the ODSA portal, for the one that resembles Azure, but that actually sits on OCI. It has a similar user interface, but it is hosted on OCI. I can show you the domain later. Several benefits, for example, an outstanding one, no egress or ingress fees for data. As I said, this is significant in terms of cost reductions. The same user experience, integration with all the Microsoft tools, for example, and all the automation that you can get out of that. I will take questions as soon as I finish the presentation. Okay, so let's just move here because I have also a simple but quite cool demonstration. So hopefully we'll have time to explore that. How does ODSA work then? First, you have to perform the cloud-to-cloud setup and configuration, as I said, but it is well documented. Actually, I can show that now here. I have this page here, so there's just a kind of guide for all the prep requirements here, in terms of the roles that you need on the Azure side, how to perform the linking and prepare the accounts and the regions. After that, you can, of course, manage the roles and the users on both sides. And provided that you finish these steps, you don't have to worry about anything related to security, networking, monitoring, or anything at all. Then you can move, of course, to provision a database, but that's a part of my demo today. So let's revert to the deck here. A second step, as I said, then you can move to provision on an autonomous database instance, on OCI. There are several operations that are actually performed for you out of the box. For example, things related to deployment, auto-scaling, automated backup, license management, restoration concerning the backups, the security, identity, access management, operations, auto-scaling, and database actions, which is quite nice because the service also provides an in-browser tool that you can use, so you don't need to install a separate, tool in order to access the database, model your databases and run queries, and or even do machine learning with embedded Jupyter notebooks. But at the end of the day, as I said, the good thing is that you can, of course, save money and simplify your deployments, accelerate your projects, and have everything, addressed by both and supported by both the Microsoft and the Oracle teams. Okay, so this is just to give you a glimpse of the ODSA interface. You can see autonomous database highlighted in red here. So that's how you can provision a database. So I can now change screens here and show you the actual user interface. So this is the landing page, but remember, it resembles Azure, but you can see that the domain is oracle.com here, okay? I can show you, for example, here, you just select the default subscription per the initial configuration and the default region, and that's it. So you can start to provision databases. For example, I have an autonomous database instance that I provisioned here, but if I, you can see the instance here, which is when I click it, it moves to this screen here. And it's quite easy. For example, if I click database actions, I will see, actually, let me do it here again, just to show you while it loads. Let me move in. First thing, in terms of connections, you can use this connection string, and it depends on the way that you want to connect to the Oracle database. There are two different ways. The first one is the single TLS connection, and usually with that one, it is a kind of one-way connection. You can just use this connection string here, and then just inform the URL for that's the connection string that you can copy from the console, and of course, as usual, the username and the password. Okay. The second one, which is kind of more, I would say, robust and restrictive, is when you have what we call MTLS. Okay. With MTLS, mutual TLS, you have to download this connection wallet here. Okay, you provide a password for it. I have a sample here, for example, for this same database. Then you unzip the file, and you will see, for example, things like a Java key store here, JKS file, some security certificates, and the traditional, the usual Oracle connection files, for example, SQLnet, TNS names, and so on, that you might be used. Configuration, when you provision a database, you just have to choose if you are talking about what we call the Autonomous Transaction Processing Database, or the OLTP one, or DW database, with ADW, the Autonomous Data Warehouse. OCPU count for your choices, auto-scaling if you want to have that enabled, information about storage, and the license. There are different options here if you want to include a license or bring your own license, and so on. The second and the last thing here is actually the networking configuration. If you are using MTLS, you don't have to worry about that. But if you disable it and you are using the direct TLS connection, you disable it, and then there's a way to kind of whitelist the IP addresses here, which, by the way, I got from the Azure Functions application that I created to run as part of this presentation and my demo. Okay, that's everything. Just to show you, then again, coming back to the main screen and the landing page. If I click Autonomous Database, I can click Create here. As I said, just as usual in Azure, you can see the different tabs here and the wizard and the way it flows. You select a subscription, a resource group. You provide a name for the database instance as usual. Then next, you have the configuration tab. As I said, you select if you want transaction processing, data warehouse, or other different things here. The number of OCPUs, if you want to enable auto-scaling, the storage in terabytes, license type, if you want to use license included, as I said, or bring your own license. Database version and the database name, the instance name, actually, the DB name, actually. Networking, different options as I explained. For example, the sample file, oh my God, my screen. I have a problem currently. Okay, but yes, if you access this URL here, you will see the options that I talked about for both MTLS and the SSL, mutual TLS, or the single, direct TLS connection. So all the information is, of course, documented for the choices there. I am here. Yes. Security, the database admin credentials, and this one is the one that you can use. Remember, I clicked the autonomous database. When I access the instance here, I clicked database actions. It goes to this page here. If I click SQL, I will see this SQL tool that I talked about. For example, I have it with a query here, the same one that I'm using to run the query and retrieve the results from the Functions app. So if I run it here, actually, I'm just retrieving the name of a city in the Netherlands. And Yeah, but that's it. You can see how simple that is, to provision and manage the database. If you want to access the same database on the OCI side, you just click this link. It will take you to the OCI portal. Okay. Well, that's it. All right. Concerning the application, then let me show you. It's just a simple application. I created a functions app. Perhaps it's a good idea to show Azure. Yes, you can see ODSA fast here. So it's just a functions application with Java. So you see the URL here. If I click networking, for example, as I talked about, where is it? Yeah, here, for example, the IP addresses that I have there, that I whitelisted, I copied from here as usual. And I assume you are familiar with Azure. And that's it, a simple fast application, okay, function as a service with Java. And the application in the Java code is a simple one, just for the sake of this demo. You can see the usual imports here for Azure functions. I created a function here with the function annotation, the HTTP trigger as usual, and the methods, get and post methods, or HTTP verbs, as some people like to call them, authorization level anonymous. Then I call the function, I just retrieve a couple of request parameters from the call, name and the year, okay? And then I delegate that to helper class that I created to run a JDBC query. JDBC stands for Java Database Connectivity. So you can see it's just the same query that I executed using, the SQL actions and the tool, the in-browser tool. I retrieved the connection information from config properties file, the one that I presented to you. You can see here URL, username and password, and then I execute the query, and that's it, So I have actually the application running here, so I can just, you can see the same URL that you see here, but I complemented it with the URI information here, and then I can just call and run the same query, and I will retrieve the same city as I have here. Okay. Concerning how I provision the application, that's quite interesting because Azure has several different plugins for Maven, which is a kind of build tool for Java, and I use that because it simplifies the process as well, and that's a killer combination. At the end of the day, we are talking about productivity here and simplification. So first thing, I just provide a name for my function here, and other configurations. I have here a resource group that will be created for this application, the app service plan name and the region, and then you can run Maven. I think I have the commands here. Yes, just as a kind of recap, I use this command here to create the application. So I create I'm using Eclipse, but if you like IntelliJ or VS Code for VS Code with the Java extensions for VS Code, it doesn't matter. Then I can deploy it locally by running these deploy functions here. Of course, I have to use AZ login and set my default subscription, and then I can run this command to deploy the application. Okay. After that, I just go to the console. After I have all the steps finished, and everything is done, and that's it. If you want to check logging as well, there's a way, as all things in Azure. But that's it. And just to mention, I have a Medium blog, Juarez Jr. If you are interested, or if you can go to medium.com/Oracle DBs, And part 5 of ODSA for Java developers, I have the same Azure Functions application with all the steps here if you want to reproduce them and have a look at it. There's a link here as well. If you don't have an OCI account, you can just use the free tier to test it. And last thing, the source code is available as well. The link is provided here, but you can see that the FAS application, this is my GitHub account with a link to the very same post on Medium. So you can explore that on your own if you are interested in that. I think I was here. Yes, provisioning. So yeah, just to talk then about the features that are available. You can create and delete databases, manage them, start, stop, and restart. Choose to perform auto scaling manually, up and down, or configure CPU auto scaling as I explained. Download and rotate your security wallet. Use database actions to run queries. Database actions is quite interesting. Let me show it again. Okay, so if I come back here, you can see that you can also model a database here. As I said, we have Oracle machine learning here, so you can do Python notebooks. You can create charts. There's a graph studio here if you want to run graph databases. And that's the nice thing with the Oracle database, because you don't need to have several different disparate databases for relational databases or graph databases or NoSQL databases, regardless if that's a document-based or columnar database, for example, because Oracle is, and the Oracle database provides what we call the converged database. So with a single and unique, so as I would say, database engine, you can all the different databases and different types of data, for your requirements, centralized, so you don't have to have different, and disparate moving parts that will add, of course, more complexity to your projects. Okay. Yes. So key takeaways. ODSA, is a kind of very good option concerning the deployments or the systems that you have, where the Oracle database and Azure applications are there, and you have Oracle as the backend database and data source somehow. The user experience is quite nice, because it's easy for you if you are using Azure to just go and do it in a similar way as I demonstrated today. And customers, they can have all the choices concerning the Oracle database as well, with the ADB, Autonomous Database, Exadata, and Base Database Service. Okay. Some links are here. If you are interested, reach out to me on Twitter. My Twitter, where is it? Okay, so is at Juarez Jr. Okay, so I can give you a copy of this deck or links to the blog post or the source code samples, or I can connect you with other folks here working for Oracle in case you have some elaborated requirements and you want to explore that. There's a blog post concerning ADB on ODSA, the documentation as well, and this is my blog post with the functions application. But interesting to say, this series I created similar examples for app service, Azure Spring apps, container apps, Kubernetes service, functions, everything is there. Okay. Once again, thank you very much for the opportunity to talk about these things that I like and I'm passionate about, the cloud, Java, databases, data, and everything else. And now I can take questions in case you have some. Dwayne, are you still there? I don't think so.
Feel free to post them in the chat and we'll get them to Juarez.
Oh, let me have a look.
Not seeing any here today. You must have covered it off very well.
Oh, yeah. I hope so.
Oh, it's always good. It's good information, obviously, knowing, a lot of people on this call obviously have, come through and, have a lot of Azure, probably AWS, Google experience, but the understanding of the differences in the databases are is important to understand, and the strong partnership that Microsoft and Oracle have had for for a long time, obviously because of operating systems and things like that, and the strength of the partnership, even though Oracle has their own cloud, there's still the partnership with the hyperscalers, specifically with Microsoft in the Azure environment, to be able to support the Oracle databases. So obviously, with Oracle being one of the top, right?
Absolutely, yes. And as you said, it's a good option just to combine both clouds, and in terms of simplification as well, or such integrations. And of course, I talked about the converged database as well. So databases and relational and all those things. With this service, you can maybe just aggregate everything and use just one database service.
Yep.
As I said, it's another interesting tool that you can leverage.
Yeah. So I guess overall that to reach out to him on social media if there are any questions coming, if you'd like as well. So and this recording will be up on the Cloud Lunch and Learn YouTube channel here as soon as we turn off the live feed. It should post itself on there. So if anybody missed any of the presentation, you can go back and watch that. For those of you who are watching the on-demand recording, I want to thank you very much for doing that and supporting the Cloud Lunch and Learn community. So if I don't see any other questions, we will go ahead and close things out here today. And want to thank Juarez for you providing your time and some great information going and outside Azure a little bit into Oracle, and getting a broader focus around the technologies and what's out there. So appreciate it. Thank you, Juarez.
My pleasure. Thanks a million.
And yep, have a great day.
Likewise. Bye, everyone.